Did you know that Sammy Davis Jr. had a talk show for 2 years called Sammy and Company?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. There are 53 episodes of Sammy and Company. The first 4 episodes I saw of Sammy and Company. Sammy interviews Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Of course.
Sammy talks to Lola Falana. Sammy reminisces with Red Fox. Sammy talks about her latest album, Adventures in Paradise, with Minnie Riperton.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I can't do this.
You'd have been there all day.
I could hear it calling me.
Young Junk!
Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble. And as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Today marks another week in Black Women's History Month, which means that we are going to be reviewing a film that is associated with a black woman creative. But we're throwing a little bit of a curveball your way.
Got to keep y'all on your toes.
Most definitely. We were scheduled to review I Will Follow, a film directed by Ava DuVernay. We were going to review that tonight, and we're going to talk about why we're not reviewing that tonight in just a little bit. But we do have a film that we are going to be reviewing, and it is associated with a black woman creative, one by the name of Kasi Lemmons.
Great Kasi Lemmons.
As we review the film that was her follow-up to Eve's Bayou. Kasi Lemmons directs Samuel L. Jackson in The Caveman's Valentine.
Yes.
Tonight's movie that Vincent has selected for our review on the Micheaux Mission, that is streaming to you live from Young Chunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace, right here in the city of brotherly love, to Instagram, to Facebook, as well as to YouTube, where each and every one of you are out there in the chat. Hello, missionaries.
Good evening, one and all.
Now, let's cut to it real quick. We were going to review I Will Follow.
True.
We were looking forward to reviewing it. Vincent had selected it. And as we try to do more often than not, when we select the films that we're going to be reviewing, we kind of like look ahead to see if these films are streaming and available to us, or do we have to go get the physical copy ahead of time. I Will Follow technically is streaming, because if you look it up if you Google it, it shows that it is streaming on Canopy, which is the app that is associated with the free library system across the United States. So we were good to go.
Good to go solo.
On Canopy. Fired up today because both of us like to watch the film the day of, take our notes so everything is fresh in our mind when we sit down in front of you. And we fire up Canopy, and while it may be on Canopy, what we were unaware of is that each Canopy is associated with your local library system. And I Will Follow is not in the Philadelphia library system, which is associated with our library cards. Thus, we were unable to review or stream or see I Will Follow.
Exactly.
Which makes no sense.
Makes no sense whatsoever. Just to quote ourselves, this is not an obscure 1952 art film.
No.
There's absolutely no way that all of the work of Ava DuVernay should not be readily available.
Readily available on Netflix or one of those Max.
I mean, it's a million streaming services.
Yeah.
So it's get your physical media, y'all.
You pointed that out.
Buy your physical media.
It makes all the more important to own the physical media, because as you said, we don't want these corporations, and that number is becoming smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
The number of corporations that have the control,
right, of what we have access to.
Whether it be movies, TV shows, music,
any of it. I mean, every day, one of these streaming systems drops a movie that has been there, drops a television show. You get the emails. What's leaving Netflix this month?
Right.
What's leaving Prime this month? And it's scary, especially for people from our point of view who remember when everything opened up.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I was always suspicious of the argument, oh, you don't need to own a physical copy of it. Oh, you can just have it streaming. Even frankly, you can download it. Like I really do. Like we were talking before, like I remember when Prince died and there was that kind of hurly-burly where people couldn't listen to Prince because it wasn't streaming. And it was ridiculous to me that people didn't own physical copies of Prince's albums.
Yeah, I remember even more recently when there was this big, firecrackers went up because De La Soul finally put all of their albums on streaming. Right,
and you realize that they were people who called themselves hip-hop fans who had never heard De La Soul because it wasn't streaming.
Exactly.
Like how... Well, like you have to go out and buy this stuff.
But as I pointed out to you, there is a generation and maybe two generations that physical media became less and less a thing that was like in their face. Like, because when we were growing up, we appreciated the whole idea of buying albums, buying records, buying, and eventually movies.
Right.
Because especially with records, you grew up, you saw your parents' record collection.
Right.
And you wanted your own records that you could play. You know, as movies became available, oh my God, I can watch the movie anytime. It went from VHS to DVDs, and went to CDs and things like that. And then, yes, while you can download things and you can have it like storage on your hard drive.
Right.
How many times have people's hard drive crash?
Sure.
Heaven forbid somebody spill water on your hard drive and it's gone. That physical media. The other thing I think that happened is tangentially is that this whole minimalist wave came in as far as like the look of your home, and all of a sudden you didn't have like things stored out because you had your record collection out for people to see, CDs out for people to see.
Sure,
you don't do that anymore.
And I will say this, not to be too grumpy and old man, I do give certain generations grace because frankly they just don't have the space that we had. Rent wasn't as expensive as it is now. Like people literally could have bigger spaces.
That's true.
Than they do now. It's funny. I was looking at watching She's Gotta Have It a few weeks ago. And what's so striking about She's Gotta Have It is Nola Darling's apartment.
Yes.
And, at one point Mars does say to her, how do you have a space this big? But you look at apartments.
And for those who haven't seen it, her apartment in that movie is it's like a loft.
Look, I remember in the 90s, like people would have these cavernous apartments.
Yep.
Because, people didn't want to live in the city and this, that, and the other. So I acknowledge that. But I do think that ceding control to these companies with our access to art, is a very, very dangerous thing, and something like we've been doing this long enough that we've run into this periodically, and this is just another moment again.
Well, it's a dangerous thing because already now, as we were talking about it, the point of entry into now getting the physical media is so expensive.
Then there's that. Yeah.
I mean, like, It used to be fun to go to Best Buy and you'd shop the DVD section.
Right.
The DVD sections don't exist anymore.
Well, we were talking earlier. My daughter is a bit of a vinyl enthusiast now. And so when we go out and look for records together, you know, me, no great surprise. I'm really looking at old R&B and old jazz. So I'd spend the bulk of my time buying used records. But Camille buys new wax and new, like.
She must only be buying one record.
It's
like $30, $50.
It is breathtaking how expensive vinyl is.
Yeah.
I'm like, is Tyler the Creator? Does he come, like, is he going to bring us sandwiches? Good Lord, how many records are in there? Is it just one record? You know, $50 for a record.
I know.
It's like, oh my goodness.
I know.
Right, so.
No, that makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, but what you gonna do?
No sense. Shout out to everyone in the chat. I see Lisa Alexander saying that she has DVDs just for that reason. I agree with that. Farrell Blackwell saying how back in the day he slept around with a backpack full of CDs. Dude, I remember lovingly when I used to work in town.
Mm-hmm.
At my lunch break, I would go to 3rd Street Jazz here in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I would, every payday, I would buy 4 new tape cassettes. That's how old this was.
Absolutely.
Because I remember blind buying CL Smooth and Pete Rock's.
You know what? You know what? We are not even going to go down that road. But I also remember the sort of Sophie's Choice during that golden age where you had to like I only got $10, and you know that like you said is like Pete Rock and CL Smooth and Cypress Hill and House of Pain and Black Moon and Tribe Called Quest and
Tribe Called Quest
Leaders of the New School and
Tribe Called Quest trumps all that,
and it's like, okay, what you gonna buy?
I know. I remember though. I can't remember who my Sophie choice was, but it was going up against Run DMC. But it wasn't good Run DMC.
Sure.
It was Pause Run DMC.
Sure. Mary, why you bugging?
Oh, no.
It's like, ooh.
Oh, no. That's not bad Run DMC.
I think that's on the same album.
Is that on Pause?
I'm pretty sure Mary and Pause are on the same.
No, I think Mary is on. Is that on Tougher Than Leather?
You ready?
Yes. You don't own no Run DMC.
Run DMC really only had like 2 good albums.
Well, yeah, everybody knows that.
Okay. I didn't know if I was going to get jumped. Like, you got to watch how you talk about Run DMC.
No. It's the first one.
Right.
Which is
it's like King of Rock
and Raising Hell.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. It's Raising Hell. It's my Adidas.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But then
it's slippery.
The Run DMC albums get shaky.
Yes,
but
I agree.
But yes, okay, all right.
But Pause was the low point.
Okay,
it was a low point. And being a Run DMC head, I went for Pause.
Right, see? Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, it was a bad day.
I know.
Bad day. All right. Shout out to everyone in the chat. I even see Erica Washington from Las Vegas. How you doing? Yes.
All right.
We are matching.
Yes.
It was not planned.
It was not.
It was not planned, but it looks divine.
There you go.
All right. Let's hear from you, missionaries. And that means your emails, or as we like to call them,
missives from the missionaries. So what else is going on, Len?
We have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from the missionaries.
Ooh.
Missives from the missionaries.
Missives from the missionaries, Vincent. We have an email from Corey Nicole.
Hey, Corey.
The subject line is, what if Robert Townsend went mainstream?
Okay.
Good morning, Len, Vincent, and missionaries. In honor of Black Women's History Month, I got a chance to watch the first Sister Act with an appearance from y'all girl, A.J. Johnson.
All right.
I know that's right. I also watched the 40-year-old version by
movie.
Rada Blank. Fantastic movie.
Great movie.
And man, a great movie and one of my favorites in the past couple of years. Indeed. I want to bring up Robert Townsend because when I watched the 40-year-old version, I saw some inspiration from the movie Hollywood Shuffle, the semi-autobiographical approach, and some of the satire in terms of Black art at the hands of white executives and team members. I pose a question. If Robert Townsend was to become mainstream and not be as Black famous as he is in our community, what would that look like and how would that affect his career? We all know the Five Heartbeats, Baps, and even Meteor Man are staples and have their fans in the Black community. I would even argue that Hollywood Shuffle has served inspiration for some Black creatives over the nearly 40 years since it's been released. I was listening to the conversation about Black famous individuals like Lorenz Tate and Giancarlo, so Robert Townsend came to mind. Hope this email finds you well. Have a great rest of the week. Corey Nicole. So what would it look like if Robert Townsend was to become mainstream? I feel like, to a degree, we may have gotten a little bit of a taste of it with Parenthood, this TV show. Okay. Because while it was definitely on like one of the newer channels and everything, but it was him trying to have more of a broad appeal. You know, to a wider audience. It was, and I wasn't a regular watcher of the show, but I watched it enough to know that the show was kind of like middle of the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so, and to be fair, as much as I think that he has a bit of bite to him, I think he leans closer to middle of the road. I think.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do you one more recent. He has directed at least one episode of Papa's House.
Oh, okay.
The Damon Wayans show. And it's a nice speed. And I do think one of the stories in Black entertainment that I'll just speak for myself that I haven't really paid attention to is that neighborhood averse speed that CBS has. That, you know, Cedric the Entertainer to Sheena Arnold's show that has been on CBS for like 7-8 seasons now. Jesus. And I know, you know, I think I read there are at least 2 spinoffs planned.
Wow.
And while I don't think Papa's House is in the same universe,
it's the same.
It's very much that same speed. So in a lot of ways, I think this is a good time to talk about Robert Townsend in more of a mainstream conversation because so many Black, well, I mean, it's just chronology. Like Black people who were 20 and 30 when Robert Townsend was making Hollywood Shuffle are now in their 50s and 60s.
Very true. Right.
So it really is. And I am kind of fascinated by Papa's House, how that kind of deals with that. And again, I don't really watch The Neighborhood that much, but certainly with Papa's House, I think oftentimes what we've had, and certainly with CBS, is we have these Black images and Black voices that have been written by white people. Whereas Papa's House, you can very much tell there are Black people involved with the script writing and everything. But it's for Damon Wayans, who's in his 60s, and his son, who quietly is, if he's not 40 yet, he's knocking on 40. Definitely. Like Black Don't Crack, and Damon Jr. looks young, but you know, Damon Jr. is not a young buck. So it is a nice breath of fresh air to see, you know, not young, hip Black people, but have Black people actually kind of be involved in the creation. And I think Robert Townsend is right in the middle of that conversation.
Damon Wayans Jr. is 42.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, he's got to be.
Yeah. Wow.
Like he's been playing a young boy for 20 years.
Well, you know, but that's what we do.
Right. But you know, you kind of think about, I was like,
That's what we do.
like Damon Wayans was playing a young boy back in 2000.
I mean, Lorenz Tate is 80 years old.
Right.
And he just got cast in The Little Rascals.
Right. So,
you know, that's how it goes, man.
yeah.
That's how it goes. But thank you, Corey.
Yes, thank you
for that email. Appreciate you very much. All right. We got another email, Vincent. This one is from Nicole Court.
Hey, Nicole.
Good evening, Len, Vincent, and missionaries, and happy Black Women's History Month. I want to start off by saying I watched the masterpiece Rappin' with Mario Van Peebles, Eric LaSalle, Kadeem Hardison, and a bunch of other people.
John Rappin' Hood. He was John Rappin' Hood. He saved the neighborhood through the power of rap.
Yes. I still contend that is the worst movie that we have reviewed.
I think Soul Plane is worse.
No, it's not.
I think Soul Plane is actually insulting.
It is insulting, but I can look at Soul Plane and say this is a bad movie, but I can see people finding some humor in it because it may speak to their level of humor, right? The type of humor they enjoy. There's nothing
about rap.
There's nothing. Because if you like rap, if you like the rapping and rapping,
you don't like the rapping hood,
then you don't like hip hop.
You don't like the way it connects to the Breaking universe because Ice-T's characters. You don't like the connective tissue.
There's no
in rapping.
Don't do that.
But he's also in Breaking.
Don't do that.
In Breaking 2.
Don't do that.
Electric Boogaloo.
Don't do that.
I mean, it's the truth.
Don't do that.
It's all in the same universe.
Rapping is not in the same universe.
No, it is. It 100% is.
I don't believe you.
You don't have to believe me. It's the truth.
It's not.
Like, that's actually in the script.
It's not.
And Ice-T's character is the connective tissue. Like, I'm not joking. That's the truth.
I don't remember Ice-T, and I actually don't even remember him in rapping.
He is in rapping. Rapping was actually supposed to be a sequel to Breaking. It's Golden Globus. Like, it's all that same.
Yeah, I know. It's Golden Globus.
Yeah.
You're not going to make me rewatch Rapping.
Oh, please don't do that.
I'm going to take your word for it.
All right.
I'll continue on with Nicole's email.
Okay.
Since it is Black Women's History Month on the show, I want us to have a conversation about one of my favorite artists and singers.
Okay.
The late, incomparable Minnie Riperton and her discography. I feel like no one ever discusses her albums in full length, so I pose a question. Which album do you think is her magnum opus?
Perfect Angel. Perfect Angel. I'm sorry. Was she not finished? Was there another question in there?
Well, she was going to.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For her short time here on Earth, her discography, for the most part, was consistent and not very bad, in my opinion. I am stuck between Come to My Garden.
Good album.
Adventures in Paradise.
And also a good album. Her husband did a lot of production.
Perfect Angel with her signature song and big hit, Loving You. Can't wait to hear this conversation and loving the lineup for the films of this month. And she has a side note, but I'll let you speak on your love of Perfect Angel.
Oh, Perfect Angel is one of my favorite albums of all time. And the song Perfect Angel, like, I don't want to say it's my favorite song of all time, but I think it's just absolutely divine. Like half of the album is the Stevie Wonder production. Perfect Angel, written and produced by Stevie Wonder. Yeah, I love Perfect Angel.
Do you think Minnie doesn't get her just due because she did leave us so soon? Because she died very young.
I think that is part of it. I also think we just didn't latch onto her the way we were supposed to. I think there's a
She was in a group first, though, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, she was in Rotary Connection. That's how come. And then Charles Stepney produced her first album, Coming to My Garden with LaFleur. Like, people play LaFleur a lot. There's actually an amazing clip of Stevie Wonder on Soul Train after she passes, where Stevie Wonder basically chastises Black people for not loving up on Minnie Riperton the way we should have. Like it's because, it's like Stevie Wonder annoyed, which is something you never really think of. But But yeah, I listen to Perfect Angel all the time. But my family teases anytime I put together a playlist, Perfect Angel is on there. Yeah, there's an extended version of Perfect Angel off of the, and I know we've talked about this before because there was a, speaking of physical media and certain things, there was a anniversary edition of Perfect Angel that came out like 14, 15 years ago. And the song Perfect Angel is like 2 or 3 minutes on the album. You know, it's like a cut, but there's an extended version where it's just, you know, I don't know if Stevie is playing all of the instruments, but the band is just in the pocket.
Just going at it.
Just in the pocket for like 2 minutes. And she's just sort of, you know, you must be a perfect angel. And they're just in the pocket. And it's heaven.
Some of the listeners may not know, and I know you're the huge Tribe fan. Why don't you tell the story of how Tribe Called Quest kind of kept
Tribe Called Quest sampled a lot of Minnie Riperton, a fair amount of Rotary Connection.
Yes.
And the story there's actually a collection of Minnie Riperton's music called Petals, the Minnie Riperton. And her daughter, Maya Rudolph, actually writes she has an essay in there where she talks about thanking Q-Tip for putting her through college. Because A Tribe Called Quest, when they sample it, and, you know, and I'm one of these people, many of us discovered, quote unquote, Rotary Connection and Minnie, because I have to say, before A Tribe Called Quest, like I knew Loving You.
Which is the one you know. And my mom really liked Minnie Riperton. But I didn't really know anything about Minnie Riperton until A Tribe Called Quest. I mean, her like she said, Nicole said, her time unfortunately was short. Yeah. You know? and then you know you sort of I'm a Charles Stepney dude. Well, yeah, but that's also A Tribe Called Quest and Rotary Connection and kind of came up through there. But oh my God, I love Minnie Riperton so much, and I love Perfect Angel is easily one of my favorite albums and absolutely one of my favorite songs of all time. Yeah. You know, it's a good time. It's a good time. You could do worse things, missionaries, by putting together a playlist of Minnie Riperton, the Rotary Connection, and also slide in some Roberta Flack. You'll have yourself a hell of a Saturday. Let me tell you.
Them 2-3 albums that Charles Stepney did production work with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
Look, come on. Stop. Okay. Stop.
All right.
Stop.
Nicole has one. She has another question.
All right.
And do you both consider the film's Zipperhead with a young Michael Rappaport and N'Bushe Wright and Monsters Ball, the Halle Berry film, black movies? Have a great rest of the week. From a missionary, Nicole Court.
I've never actually seen Zipperhead.
Me neither.
And Monsters Ball, I consider that a black film.
I would definitely consider that a black film. We have not taken it on just yet.
Yeah.
But I would consider that a black film.
Yeah.
Most certainly. All right. We have another email that's from Michael Sykes.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
This weekend, I gave Heavy D's Blue Funk.
Come on, y'all are killing
a listen
me.
For 20 times, and I just have to say, it's a classic that deserves more recognition.
You all are killing me right now.
Vincent, I recall you mentioning this album on previous episodes and your admiration for Heavy D, and I'm totally with you on that. I firmly believe Blue Funk is a top contender for one of the best hip-hop albums of 1993. It's criminally underrated and still holds up strong today. The lack of hype surrounding it, especially when so many heavy hitters dropped that year, like Wu-Tang's Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers, Doggy Style from Snoop Dogg, and your beloved Tribe's Midnight Marauders, as well as Ice Cube's Lethal Injection, is a real shame. Don't get me wrong, those albums are undeniably iconic, but I wish Blue Funk had received the recognition it deserves alongside them. Now, as someone who considers Heavy D my favorite solo rapper,
but say that's your man right there
of all time, I will also cape for Blue Funk. Blue Funk is an amazing album. Does it stand the test of time against Tribe, Wu, Snoop? Maybe not. But does it deserve its recognition, absolutely. I think Heavy D, much like Minnie Riperton, like we just said, is one of those names and voices and personas that time is slowly forgetting.
Mm-hmm. And I am not the biggest Heavy D fan like you are.
I know you're not.
Like speaking of Run DMC, I feel like Heavy D got pulled into kind of New Jack Swing, and like I feel like the siren call of pop.
Mm-hmm.
He listened to it a little more than I would have liked him to listen to it. But you know, look, I'm not an MC, and I understand, like, no disrespect to Heavy D. But for those of you that don't know, Heavy D's one of his very close friends and backup dancers, Trouble T. Roy, died very tragically. Died. And Blue Funk is the album that they made after he died.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete Rock, the great Pete Rock, produced the whole album. And Heavy D was, you know, again, very much, he was a dancing MC, a lot of New Jack Swing, very upbeat, very, dare I say, pop.
Yes.
And Blue Funk was well, just like the title says, like, it was very contemplative. It was very thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think a lot of people slept on that album.
Yes.
Because Heavy D fans, it was something that they weren't really expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that there were people who dismissed Heavy D, although Heavy D was always a killer MC.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Heavy D was always a killer MC, but because he was, you know, we got our own thing and they were dancing and stuff, they're like, I'm not really doing that. And they didn't really listen to the album. And then as he said, 93 was a tough year to come out with album.
Yeah, man.
Like, 93 was a tough
there was not a lot of space.
Year. Because did he say Wu-Tang?
Yes.
Yeah, like Wu-Tang.
That's it.
And Midnight Marauders and Doggy Style the same year?
I know. And didn't even touch on Ice Cube.
Right.
So, I mean.
Yeah. 93 was a real tough year.
It was
to come out with album.
And right there, like you just said, Heavy's associated with New Jack, which is still hot, but it's kind of like starting to turn.
Right.
And with Wu and Cube, you're really experiencing the change over in hip hop, right? Which, as much as I love Heavy D, I will also say that my one thing that I lament about Heavy is that he sometimes would chase the trend.
Right.
And I think that was to his detriment as well.
And in full disclosure, my brother put me on the Blue Funk.
Okay.
Like, I was actually not checking for Heavy D like that. And Damon, as he did many times that year, because Damon is also the one that said, I think, we always joke, my brother has this real deep voice. He has since he was like 4 years old. He said, Vince, I think you need to listen to this group called the Wu-Tang Clan. I said, the Wu-Tang Clan? Are they like, remember, what was the name of the big Pacific Islanders that had the group? Remember them? They were like the rappers.
Oh my God, I can't remember what you're talking about. I know you're talking about not X-Clan.
Not X-Clan. Anyway, Damon said, I think you need to listen to this group called the Wu-Tang Clan. I was like, the Wu-Tang.
And mind you, that was Damon at 4 years old saying that.
Like, well, I always joke, Damon. The first time Damon heard I Need Love on the radio, Damon was like literally like 9 years old and had on pajamas. And I Need Love came on, and Damon said, Booyah Tribe, Booyah Tribe. Anyway,
oh, yes, Booyah Tribe.
Damon said, this is the end of rap. Damon said, he making rap for girls. This is going to be the end of rap. He was like 9 years old. That's Damon. Damon was not a fan of I Need Love.
Yeah.
He said,
was.
Damon said, that's the end of rap.
L was, because L knew.
Anyway, Booyah Tribe. I was like,
Wu-Tang
Clan. What is a Wu-Tang Clan?
I remember Booyah Tribe.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But yeah, Damon put me on the Blue Funk. Shout out to my brother.
Michael Sykes continues, on a different note, I also just caught your episode reviewing Who's the Man from 1993.
All right.
I have to say, the way you two absolutely roasted the movie and the soundtrack was pretty entertaining, but I feel like there's more to it than just the flaws. There are a few things worth celebrating. First, Who's the Man marked Bernie Mac's first major film role with speaking parts, and his performance was hilarious. Second, Baja Jola's acting was spot on. And lastly, the soundtrack introduced us to one of the greatest rappers of all time, Notorious B.I.G. with his track Party and Bullshit, which is a banger. Okay, you've named 3 things. Okay, all right. We can see Baja Jola act his ass off in other things. Bernie Mac did more things in other things.
He did.
And Notorious B.I.G's Party and Bullshit was the only thing worth listening to on that album.
Oh, I don't remember. I'm not going to say that because I don't remember what's on that album.
I'm pretty sure it's the only thing.
Seems like Who's the Man probably had good songs on it. I don't remember whatsoever, but I'm not going. That was Len saying there was nothing else to listen to on that album. I don't remember the album, so I don't know.
What do you mean you don't remember the album?
I don't remember.
Why don't you remember the album?
I'm sorry. I was so busy trying to remember the Booyah Tribe. Now, I don't even know if they made music. They was just big Pacific Islander dudes.
They were.
It's like, do they make music or are they wrestlers or?
They definitely were. All right, here are the songs from the Who's the Man soundtrack. All right. Let's Go Through the Motions, Jodeci.
Yeah, I don't really.
So that's some $3 thing they just threw out there. All right. What's next on the menu? Pete Rock and CL Smooth.
That's a good song.
It's probably a good song.
Yeah, that's a good song, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
But it's never made the best of Pete Rock and CL Smooth.
All right.
Okay, this is one. You Don't Have to Worry, Mayor J. Blige.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wonder, was that actually made for the soundtrack?
We just said what's on the soundtrack.
Okay.
All right.
Hitting Switches, Eric Sermon.
That's a good song.
That's a good song.
I think you're wrong.
That's a good song.
You're not ready to say you're wrong? Like, just say I was wrong.
I said Party and Bullshit is the best thing.
No, you said the only thing.
I don't remember saying that. Check the tape. No, we don't have time.
It's not streaming anymore. This is what I'm talking about, people. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right. Just so I can continue. Hitting Switches, Eric Sermon. Hotness by Heavy D and Buju Banton. Who's a Man, House of Pain.
That's a good song.
That is a good song.
That's a good. Yeah, I think this is a good soundtrack. Hey man, it's okay to be wrong.
I'm wrong.
Okay,
all right. It's not a bad soundtrack.
All right.
It's not well used in the movie.
Okay,
I can say that, but it's a good soundtrack.
All right,
it's a good soundtrack. Well, I took a L on that one.
Well,
all right.
I was like, I think the soundtrack was pretty good.
All right. Well, okay.
Right.
Hey, yeah, I'll be right. All right. One last email.
All right.
It's from Michael Lockett.
What's up, Michael?
Good evening, brothers and fellow missionaries. It was the best of films, but it was not the greatest of times.
Oh, no.
The best sums up my feelings for last week's movie, All Dirt Roads Taste of Salt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All Dirt Roads Taste of Salt is one of the best looking films I've seen from a first time director.
Mm-hmm.
That would be Raven Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Strikingly beautiful and poignant. Being a writer, director, producer myself, a part of me wanted more dialogue. And then after I stopped ventilating and yelling at the screen, I realized I was getting every word and emotion I needed in the scant few words and beautiful images.
Absolutely.
I'm not certain which one of you did it, but a poem is the best description for this work. That would be me.
Mm-hmm.
On my time travels, I landed in the not the greatest of times along with you two as you reviewed the film Brown Girl Begins. I wanted this movie to be so much more. The story meandered, the set design failed, the costumes failed, and for the most part, the acting let us viewers down. I applaud the writer-director for taking her passion project across the finish line, and I hope she is getting more opportunities to shine her craft.
Yes, exactly. You're right. Easy.
Now,
Brown Girl Begins.
Over the last few weeks, you'll be raising some topics, or you've been raising some topics that may just fall under the heading of Black commandments. Allow me to start the list with a few. Number one, with so many people hurting our feelings by going on to glory, mention not the big ones. Stevie. I'll be damned if someone manifests Stevie away.
Oh my God. Yes. All right. What's the next one? Let's just keep moving.
Let's keep it
I don't
moving.
even want to talk about that.
Number 2 of the Black Commandments, thou art deemed black famous, means if you showed up at Essence Fest, you getting bum rush for selfies.
Yes.
White famous means that they see a black face, they know the name, and can say the show or film they were in. All the best, Michael Locke.
I like that. Like, it's not enough to just say, oh, I feel like I know you from somewhere.
Yeah.
In your mind. But yeah.
Yeah, you actually can say, point to where I know you from.
Right.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So that would make you white famous.
That would make you white famous.
But black famous is you all up in the selfies.
Right.
Essence.
Right,
Fest.
right. Exactly.
But you're just another face in the crowd at Lollapalooza.
Right, right.
Do they still do Lollapalooza?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That is your emails. Thank you, one and all, for your emails, missionaries. If you want to have your thoughts shared with us and the missionaries, please feel free. Drop us a line at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX MISSION@gmail.com.
All right.
And now it is time for the Game of Kings.
With someone who is black famous, white famous, and Pacific Islander famous.
6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin. Six Degrees of D'Urville Martin. Vincent, there's no real, well, there is a theme.
Okay. What's the theme?
The theme is that we are playing 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
Okay. All right. All right. That's the theme. All right.
So connect D'Urville Martin to these other actors.
Okay.
With the same initials of DM.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
All right. Who we got?
All right. With a caveat for each.
Okay. All right.
The caveat for the first one.
Okay.
In 6 movies or less, connect D'Urville Martin to Dean Martin without using one of the Rat Pack films.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought up Dean Martin because I got a bone to pick with you.
Okay.
Do you want to pick the bone now or after I do it?
Sure. Do it first.
Okay, you said without using one of the Rat Pack.
Yes.
Okay, all right, I can do that because I wasn't going to do that because Sammy Davis Jr. is too easy. Who's I got a bone to pick with you about?
I figured this is what it's about.
But you know what? Cannonball Run is the easiest. But do me a favor. Let's see if I can do this. Who else is in one of the Matt Helm? Who's in like the first Matt Helm movie?
Oh, the first
with
one.
Dean Martin.
The first one is that's not Kiss Me Stupid, is it? No, it's The Silencers.
Matt Helm is, of course, the James Bond knockoff series that Dean Martin was in. Just one of those really bizarre 60s things.
Who else is in there?
Yeah.
I doubt that any of these names are going to help you. Stella Stevens, Dahlia Lavi, Victor Buono.
You can stop with Stella Stevens. We've actually talked about Stella Stevens on here.
Oh, we did.
So, because while he is in Matt Helms with Stella Stevens,
But you know the name of the movie is not Matt Helm.
I know. It's just a Matt Helm movies. So what's that? Which one was that? The Searchers, the Destroyers?
Silencers.
The Silencers. So he's in the Silencers with Stella Stevens, but Stella Stevens is in
1963.
Hammer. Is it Hammer? What's the Jim Brown movie that we watched?
Oh, that's not even where I thought you were going with her.
Yeah. When else would we have talked about Stella Stevens?
Well, I thought you were talking about like you talked about her. Hold on, let me get her.
Isn't she in Hammer?
I got to get her full filmography just to make sure that she's in there. She is not in it. It's not Hammer. I know the movie you're talking about. It's not called Hammer.
What is the name? It's a Jim Brown movie. Just give me the name.
Slaughter.
Right. So she's in Slaughter with Jim Brown.
Yes.
Jim Brown. Well, let's just go ahead and finish so I can get to my beef with you, because Jim Brown is in Three the Hard Way with Fred Williamson, and then Fred Williamson is, of course, in Black Caesar with D'Urville Martin.
Very good.
So D'Urville Martin, Fred Williamson, Jim Brown, Stella Stevens,
Dean Martin. Yeah, I thought you were going to go to 1963 because she is the love interest in The Nutty Professor with Jerry Lewis.
Right. Which that's right. But then now I got to get Jerry Lewis to D'Urville Martin. And that's even more convoluted. Like, I can do it, but it'd take a second. See, y'all don't know. I do my best to stay on task. Len shot me a link to an episode of You Must Remember This, a great podcast about, showbiz stuff in the past. And Len sent me a link to the episode, one of the episodes, because there are several episodes that the podcast does about Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm listening to it, and it's, first of all, it's part of a trio of episodes.
Yes.
So now I'm just listening to it. Len, the episode about Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. in the 70s. She's talking about Sammy Davis Jr., talking about the things Sammy Davis Jr. is doing, this, that, and the other, and how he's flailing and trying to figure out. And she says, just off the cuff, one of the things he did, he had a short-lived talk show for. And I said, wait, what? Did you know that Sammy Davis Jr. had a talk show for 2 years called Sammy and Company?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. I knew he guest hosted Playboy After Dark.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that episode, it's like Mike Douglas or something, where it's just him and all the black guests.
Yep.
I did not know he had his own talk show for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
There are 53 episodes of Sammy and Company. I went to YouTube. We were just talking about this earlier. The first 4 I saw. The first 4 episodes I saw of Sammy and Company. Sammy interviews Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Of course.
Sammy talks to Lola Falana. Sammy reminisces with Red Fox. Sammy talks about her latest album, Adventures in Paradise, with Minnie Riperton.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I can't do this.
You'd have been there all day.
I could hear it calling me. I said, that damn Len.
I told you.
Why would you do that to me?
Because I knew you would love it. I knew you would love it. You would fall right into that rabbit hole, man. Because here's the thing.
I couldn't even click on it because it was like stills of Sammy and like 70s stuff.
Here's the thing, folks. I sent him a link to an episode. It wasn't the 70s episode.
No, it was the other episode.
He just fell into the trap and had to listen to more.
It's like you're like a crack dealer. Hey, man, I got something to make you feel good. Your first hit is for free. Let me know if you want some more. Oh, I was so annoyed with you.
No, you weren't.
All right, who else has a DM?
You loved it. You gonna look for the box set now?
Oh my goodness gracious.
All right. In 6 movies or less, connect D'Urville Martin to this other DM actor.
And that would be?
That would be Dudley Moore, but you can't use Arthur.
I mean, you can say that. But even with Arthur, the only thing I know is Liza Minnelli.
And that still would have been hard.
And that still would have been hard. But the only other thing I really know Dudley Moore from is 10 with Bo Derek.
I forgot all about that.
And then that doesn't, how do you forget about that? That's the only thing she's famous for.
Well, it's a dumb movie.
And then the bad thing is, it's the only thing she's famous for, but the only other thing I know her from is a movie that like me and like 80 other people on the entire planet love, which is the Jaws knockoff, Orca.
Oh, at least you didn't say Tarzan.
Oh, that's right. She is in Tarzan the Ape Man, but I don't know who else is in Tarzan the Ape Man. But that's
which is a shame because that means you don't even know the Tarzan.
That's Richard. What's his name in Orca? Because remember he was slumming in Orca. What's his name? Not Richard Dawson. Richard
Dawson.
Yeah, who's the lead in Orca? The dude who
was I don't even remember. Did I see Orca?
Probably not. It's just me and like 80 other people.
Good question. Richard Harris.
I
don't think I've ever seen Orca.
Oh man. Orca, he goes and hunts an orca and he kills the orca's wife and his baby, and then the orca chases him and hunts him down.
Oh, Jesus.
It's fantastic.
I see it. Yeah. A male orca tracking down and getting revenge on a fishing boat.
Orca is fantastic. And then when he kills, it's Richard Harris. He kills not Richard Harris, what's his name?
Richard Harris.
He kills Orca's wife and then cuts her stomach open, and then the orca baby falls on the deck, and then he kills the baby. And then Orca is looking from the water, and you see the reflection of Richard Harris killing the baby in Orca's eyes. And then Orca hunts him down. But Richard Harris is in stuff. So Richard Harris is Richard Harris is
yeah, what do you know Richard Harris from? I know what I know him from. I know what I think you know him from.
It's like the Lion in Winter, or
you would think, but I'm not sure if that is him. I know it's a movie.
Wait, ain't he the Harry Potter dude?
Richard Harris? Did he make it to Harry Potter? I'm going to check out. I'm going to check.
Dumbledore.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Derville Martin is in. I might run out. Let's see. So Derville Martin is in Sheba Baby with Pam Grier. Pam Grier is in Jackie Brown with Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson is in, is it Die Hard with a Vengeance that he's in?
Mm-hmm.
With Bruce Willis.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Willis is, of course, in Die Hard with Alan Rickman, who's in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone with Richard Harris. That's 5, which gets me right to 6 because, because I'm trying to get to Dudley Moore.
Right.
So I got to get to Dudley Moore. Okay, so let me see. So I got to get to Dudley Moore. And Dudley Moore, I saw it was Dudley Moore, Bo Derek, Richard Harris.
I feel like you kind of were there. I think you made a...
Derville Martin is Derville Martin. It's like you do Derville Martin to
I think that you're going the right way, but I think you may want to go. Let me check something first. I think you may want to go backwards with Richard Harris, or backwards with Dudley Moore first. Let's just see something with Richard Harris. I want to check if he's in this movie. I think he's in. Is he in? Yes. Yeah, he's in The Guns of Navarone with Gregory Peck. And then Gregory Peck is in.
He's not in Philadelphia Story.
No, that's Cary Grant. Gregory Peck is in. Oh, I'm thinking the wrong movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh shit! Dudley Moore's in The Best Defense. Duh.
Nobody remembers The Best Defense.
Remembers the best. All right, messing around with Orca. So there you go. Dudley Moore is in The Best Defense with Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is, of course, in Boomerang with the great Leonard Jackson, who is, of course, in Five on the Black Hand Side with D'Urville Martin.
Very good. Very good.
That's it. Dudley Moore's a good one.
Yeah, that was it. That was
because Dudley Moore was he in that like Freaky Friday movie with Kirk Cameron?
Oh, was he?
It's not called Freaky Friday, but it's a Freaky Friday riff. Is that Kirk Cameron?
Let me see. Yes, boy, look at you. From 1987.
Right, but
it's like father, like son.
Yeah, but the problem is Kirk Cameron isn't. I feel like we've done Dudley Moore before, and Dudley Moore is tough for me because there's a lot of dead ends.
Yeah, but who remembers like father, like son?
Because we did this before, and I was looking up Dudley Moore stuff, and I was
I forgot.
Dudley Moore.
You go looking up stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, he was in Kirk Cameron.
Who's in it besides the two of them? Anybody else?
Sean Astin.
Oh, it seems like some like Meshach Taylor would show up. Well, Sean Astin I could probably use. I can use Sean Astin.
Yeah, you can do Sean Astin, get you down.
There's no sassy black guy in there.
Not in the cast that I'm
seemed like a great opportunity for some sassy blacks.
Not that did anything significant.
All right.
No.
All right.
There's no sassy.
Meshach Taylor shows up and
sassy. This is an interesting fact.
Okay.
What do you think was the final film role of Dudley Moore?
I don't know because I never really got Dudley Moore.
His final film role was in 1998 in a movie called The Mighty Kong, which I don't remember. And he plays in this film. It's got to be an animated film.
Okay.
But in this animated film, it definitely looked like direct-to-video. Well, it was Warner Brothers.
Sure.
He plays Carl Denham, who's kind of like the guy that's go chasing Kong.
Sure. Always a good idea.
Dudley Moore is the voice of King Kong. I want to see this now because I want to hear Dudley Moore as the voice of Kong.
There are 53 episodes of Sammy and Company.
You'll be on Sammy and Company. Maybe I should choose my time wisely.
Yes.
Very smart. Very smart. All right, Vincent.
All right.
Well, that's 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin. Now it's time for us to get into our review of The Caveman's Valentine. The Caveman's Valentine, a 2001 American mystery drama directed by Kasi Lemmons, starring Samuel Jackson, based on the George Dawes Green 1994 novel of the same name, featuring a screenplay by one George Dawes Green. This film tells the story of a former family man and pianist, Romulus Ledbetter, who now suffers from paranoid schizophrenia and lives in a cave in New York, where he believes that a man is controlling the world with rays from the top of the Chrysler Building, and on Valentine's Day Romulus discovers the frozen body of a young man left in a tree outside his cave. This film also stars Colm Feore as David Leppenraup, André Ellis, a very young André Ellis, Tamara Tooney, a very lovely Tamara Tooney, and Magnuson, Jeff Gittes, and Anthony Michael Hall as the straight guy.
Yeah.
In The Caveman's Valentine, Vincent's Audible for tonight's episode of the Micheaux Mission. Vincent, what say you of The Caveman's Valentine?
Well, you know, I like a big swing.
Mm-hmm.
I like a big swing. I like when a director takes a chance. And for someone like Kasi Lemmons, this film is very much her taking a big swing and taking a chance. As you mentioned, Kasi Lemmons is probably most famous for, and certainly in 2001, this is true, she directed the already iconic by 2001 Eve's Bayou.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, she very easily could have stayed in that pocket.
Yeah.
Like Kasi Lemmons could have directed sort of Black rural period pieces for the next 2 or 3 films. And, you know, quite honestly, I would have been happy with it because, you know, Eve's Bayou is one of my favorite films, and the acting and the sets and the storytelling and everything about it, I think she could have stayed there. And The Caveman's Valentine is almost completely opposite.
Mm-hmm.
It is set in contemporary New York. It has a decidedly mixed cast.
Yes.
And it is a more straight ahead murder mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a big swing that, look, not to bury the lead, I think ultimately it is a miss.
Yeah.
Like she swings and she misses. And it's a shame because there are parts of this film that I like. There are aspects of this film that I like. As you mentioned, Samuel Jackson plays this character Romulus, who is a classic pianist who at some point before the film has started has had some type of psychotic break.
Mm-hmm.
And he lives in this cave in the park. And the real sort of fanciful conceit of the film is that he hallucinates. So as he says, Stuyvesant is this boogeyman who he thinks is controlling him, and there's the tower there's this large building in New York that Romulus says that he sees Y rays and eventually Z rays that are trying to control us, and they're different lights. And perhaps the most fantastical element, in his mind, he imagines what he calls moth seraphs.
Yeah.
Which are Black men with these almost butterfly wings that he has flying around in his head. And these are the moments when his hallucinations are being sort of dramatized, that I think we see a bit of the Kasi Lemmons from Eve's Bayou.
Yeah.
Where it is fanciful, it is fantastical, there's a bit of lyricism there, all of that you see within his imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And that part I enjoy. Like every time that Romulus imagined things, I enjoyed it a great deal. Samuel Jackson, I think this is a nice speed for Samuel Jackson. Like Samuel Jackson is someone who I think by 2001, he's very quickly becoming what I always felt with Samuel Jackson, where he's like an inadvertent star.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Samuel Jackson really is an actor. And you know, this Romulus character who is struggling with mental health challenges and kind of oscillates between charming but also a little dangerous.
Yes, most definitely.
You know, and I think Sammy, you know, it's almost like Gator from Jungle Fever's cousin. And I like him. You know, I like that, just the specific performance of Romulus. Speaking of Romulus has a family. As you mentioned, Ingenue Ellis plays his daughter. And because of the mental challenges that Romulus has faced, they are estranged, have a bit of a relationship that is challenging. She's a policeman, and he gets drawn into this situation that he's in. And just the actual scenes between Ellis and Jackson, surprise, surprise, are good scenes. Even though she's young, you can tell Ingenue Ellis already has the chops.
See it.
And they have really good scenes together. There's a scene in particular with the two of them in a car, which just as a scene, I think is the best scene in the movie. And just rounding out the family, maybe my kind of favorite conceit of the family is his wife is alive, but we never see her. We hear her voice. What we do see is his imagining of her. Yes. And she is played by Tamara Tooney, a veteran actress, actually doing work now on, I don't know if any of y'all are watching the black soap opera. My wife is watching the black soap opera.
The one that's the new one that just started?
Yeah, she plays the matriarch.
Oh, okay.
On Beyond the Gates.
Nice.
And the hallucinated version of her kind of teasing him, serving as his conscience, serving as a warning system, is really nice too. Like, so this family I thought was really great too. And this pocket just around Romulus, his immediate surroundings, his hallucinations, him as a character, I actually really liked. Like I kind of understood why Jackson was drawn to this role in this. I think the real challenge with this film, and it's very much a case of, well, besides that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln, is the plot. Like the actual plot of the film is amazingly convoluted.
Yes.
Where there's a dead body and there's a sort of this sort of downtown art scene that seems like it's ripped from the headlines, and so that it's almost a plot. It felt very 90s Law and Order.
Yes.
You know, there's a plot twist where you find out the killer is someone that 35 minutes into the episode, you think it's something going on with that character. But then at 50 minutes after the episode, before the final break, you finally get the reveal, which is not that revealing. And because of that, that kind of weighs the whole thing down.
Yep.
You know, you mentioned Anthony Michael Hall, who plays this side character for plot reasons.
Pretty much.
And it very much feels like when the episode of Romulus comes on, tonight on Romulus.
It does.
With special guest star
Anthony Michael
Hall. Because he's not connected to the plot
at all.
He's just there for these couple of scenes and for plot contrivance.
Yep.
So that while I do think it is a big swing, in a lot of ways, I think it's a miss because it didn't swing enough. Like you have this very sort of pedestrian plot that, again, is drawn from like the 5th season of Law and Order. And that gets in the way of the bit that's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not enough that's interesting to justify that part, the other part of it.
No, you're absolutely right. You hit it right on the head when you said it's got like this Law and Order tone, especially because, you know, the Romulus, he spends most of the film walking around in this big top coat. So
Right.
it's almost like these detectives going on, like making their way on the crime scenes, right? And he's pulling at clues. He's asking for autopsy reports. I'm like, what are we doing? What is this? Is this Cross?
Right.
Like, what are we watching here? Right. So it has that. I think the problem with the story and the script, as you mentioned, is because this is adapted from the book of the same name by the writer of the book,
Right.
George Dawes Green. And I think he doesn't know how to write for film, in his screenplay. And I could see that I could see him almost turning it in like this big 300-page script. And they were like, yeah, we're not shooting that.
Right.
So we got to rip out this. We got to rip out that. So much so, like, you've got to telling them, like, you got to show, not tell so much. But he doesn't know how to write for the showing part. So it's just all over the place. It just becomes this huge plot without a lot of the connective tissue that it needs. I also think that Kasi Lemmons, you're right. She makes such an outstanding debut with Eve's Bayou that almost anything is going to pale in comparison. You can't help but pale in comparison. But I think in this film, it is so pedestrian looking. Like the flourishes that you talk about with moving into the fanciful and stuff like that. There are moments where it works and she gets a little experimental. Like there's a love scene that's shot in black and white. That's very beautiful. There are moments where the Tamara Tooney's character is actually there talking to him one-on-one, even though nobody else sees her. But then there are other moments where there's like effect done, and because it's a flashback to her, and those are effectively done. But I think for the most part, the crew that she is working with is not on the same skill level with the same level of creativity that she had with Eve's Bayou, so that when she does go to those flourishes, they don't mix well with the tone of everything else,
right? That
looks like it's basically a CBS procedural,
right?
So tonally, it's all over the place. And then, Aunjanue Ellis Young still doing great work. Anthony Michael Hall, total plot contrivance, but for what it is, he knows what he's there for, and he's doing his job. He looks a little weird doing it, but he's doing his thing, right?
Well, his agent got him the gig.
Yeah.
He's trying to change it up. It was either this or a spot on the Love Boat.
Exactly. Like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But I honestly think the other problem here is Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, you don't like him?
And it's not that Samuel L. Jackson's that he's doing bad work. He's not doing bad work. I think there's two things that's wrong here with him in this film. One is I think he's miscast. I don't think that this role fits him. The whole time I'm watching him as Romulus, I'm like, man, I would love to see Forrest Whitaker in this role. And there are probably a few other people that I could have seen in this role. With Samuel L. Jackson, I'm just not really getting it. The other problem with it is that this is 2001. 2001, Samuel L. Jackson, who famously, really, his star starts to come later in his life.
Yeah.
So in 2001, Samuel L. Jackson is in prime catch-up mode. And he is in everything.
Yes.
He is in every movie. I'm just going to run you through the movies that Samuel Jackson did in a 3-year span around this movie. Now, this movie is in 2001, right? In 1999, Samuel Jackson stars in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Deep Blue Sea. In 2000, he does Rules of Engagement, Shaft, and Unbreakable. And then in 2001, he does the Caveman's Valentine, the 51st State. And then in 2002, he does Changing Lanes, Star Wars Episode 2, Triple X, and No Good Deed. This was the mode, this is the time when Samuel L. Jackson said, nobody is eating but me.
Okay.
The only other person eating at this time is Will Smith and Denzel Washington. Because Samuel L. Jackson is taking every role and saying, gimme, 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 regardless of whether or not he is 100% a good fit for this role. Now, does he have a relationship with Kasi Lemmons because of Eve's Bayou, where he
Which
did
is
great
what I was
work?
about to say.
He probably does. Is he maybe even possibly throwing her a bone by starring in this because of his name recognition?
And he does help
time.
produce it.
And he is one of the producers,
Yeah.
even though if you look at the producers list, there's about 18 producers on
Right.
on-
They
on
probably
here.
gave him a piece of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's probably true too. And God bless him for that. And like I said, it's not that he's doing bad work, but I just think that he is a little miscast. And I think because of that, there are moments when he almost slips into Detective Romulus role. Now, I know while he's a homeless person, he's supposed to be,
Right.
still
This sort of, right.
genius,
Right, right.
tortured genius and stuff. But like there are moments where he's this tortured genius, and then there's moments where he seems very lucid, and then there are other moments where, and it seems to come out of the blue, where he's all of a sudden like very like doesn't know what's going on. And I get what he's saying.
Yeah, I think that's the character.
I guess I recognize that it is the character, but for some reason, the way that he's playing it, it doesn't feel wholly of a performance. It feels a little bit more piecemeal.
So taking the data that you just gave, and I have to say, I didn't look at the context of where he was in his career. I think I forgot how far along he was by 2001. Like he's already, as you said, in Star Wars. Do you think part of the issue with Samuel Jackson at this point is he is actually Samuel, like
he's
actually Samuel Jackson.
He's no longer really falling into the role.
So it's like when I mentioned Gator, like part of the reason Gator works is because he's not Samuel Jackson
Exactly.
yet. Oh, what year is Pulp Fiction?
Oh, that's what, 94, yeah.
Right. I see that. I guess I really liked the way speaking of big swings, I think portraying someone who has mental challenges can go off the rails very easily.
Very true.
And I did like how basically everything that you use to describe the performance, I agree with you, but I liked it. Like, I like the fact that he had this level of dignity, but at the same time, you completely understood why he's estranged from his family.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually a moment, while I also, as we've mentioned, didn't really like the Anthony Michael Hall little plot contrivance bit, there is a moment where he circles back, he being Romulus, to their apartment in the middle of a dinner party, and you see that Anthony Michael Hall's character, who's like, one of these sort of stereotypical, again, Law and Order, downtown New York lawyers, who's kind of using him as a pet or as a little project, and he realizes you've brought a dangerous person in your house. I like that moment. But I hear what you're saying. Like, he very much, especially like at one point he shaves, and it's like, oh, well, clearly this is Samuel Jackson, a famous person. And I do respect the fact that you didn't mention that ridiculous wig at all.
No, I did not. Well, I mean, hey, the wig is what it was.
Right.
It's what it was. You know what I mean? It's interesting going through his filmography. I'm looking here, and I think really the last kind of like character role that he does for a minute
Where he's not Samuel L. Jackson.
is maybe 1997. Jackie Brown, Wardell.
Yeah, and even then,
he's turning.
Even then, like Ordell is such an interesting role because he comes pretty close to stealing the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he is sort of Samuel Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like after that, man, he's pretty much Samuel.
Well, I do wonder if, like you said, he's doing Kasi Lemmons a solid.
Yeah, I mean, he's an executive producer on the film,
right,
you know,
like,
so they give him a piece. Because he also had a piece of East Bayou. He was a producer on that as well.
I do say I don't know if I would go with Forrest Whitaker because I do think there's a sexiness about Romulus that you don't get with Forrest Whitaker.
That's true. And you have to believe that scene when it does happen.
Right.
Yes,
exactly.
That's very true.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Good point.
But, you know, again.
But I agree ultimately, like, yeah, I think that's the reason why it misses for me. I agree with you that it's a miss, but I just think that those are the reasons why.
Yeah, see, because I actually just want to get rid of this whole murder plot.
Yeah.
Like, I just want that part to be gone and it just be about these three characters.
And maybe for that, it's
like Samuel
film.
Jackson and his family sort of dealing with him living in this cave.
Now, to that point, though, if someone wanted to resurrect this character,
Lynn Webb, this is exactly
and
where I was
create the series, the Caveman murders.
This was 100.
I'll be there all day.
What I was about to say. We have been talking about him on and off for the past few weeks, but maybe not the first thing I would do if I got $1 billion and they put me in charge. But within the first year, I might sit down with Colman Domingo and say, Caveman's Valentine, the series.
He's too rich. He's too
Colman
rich.
Domingo's too rich?
He's too rich for the Caveman's Valentine.
I mean, he has like a show on Prime, like
yeah, it's not good.
Like it comes on between like Cross and Reacher.
The Caveman's Valentine.
Right, like Romulus. And like Colman Domingo plays a crazy homeless dude who solves mysteries.
Yeah, he's too rich. He may be too old now.
I mean, Romulus is not a young man. He got a grown-ass daughter.
No, but this person may actually be a little bit too old now. And now I just drew a blank on his name.
Ben Vereen?
No, Delroy Lindo.
Yeah, Delroy Lindo. Now, Delroy Lindo in 2001 would have been absolutely
excellent.
Perfect.
Yep.
And you talking about Samuel Jackson stealing everybody's dinner. He stole a lot of food from Delroy Lindo.
Yes.
Like a lot of food.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure Delroy Lindo was walking up. I'm here. Oh, I'm sorry. Samuel just left.
Yeah. Yeah, almost every role in the 90s could have been Delroy Lindo.
Delroy Lindo could have been who's big tall dude who's Allstate.
Oh, Dennis Haysbert?
Dennis
Haysbert's too noble.
That's just because of his voice.
Oh, no, he's big and noble.
You always want to keep people in his lane. I'm sure he could have been the Caveman.
Yeah, but
Valentine.
see, Delroy Lindo and Samuel Jackson are a little sinister.
Well, they are, true.
Yeah, you know, Dennis Haysbert couldn't have been West Indian Archie.
I think he could have walked out of the cave.
Oh, no.
Some rocks in New York City. I think he could have done that. He might have scared people.
Yeah.
But he could have walked out of the cave.
Oh, my goodness. It's like homeless. And then, like, the one guy is gay. And it's like, of course he's gay.
Of course.
It's like a 1995 episode of SVU. It's mistaken identity and... But that image of the angels is one that has stayed. Like, that's actually the only thing that has stayed with me from Caveman's Valentine.
You know who could do Caveman's Valentine, the series,
Who?
and do it well
Who?
and crush it? Wendell Pierce.
Yeah.
I would love to see him in that different
The funny
speed.
thing is, I was about to say, I don't know if Wendell Pierce could do sexy, but he was sexy in Treme.
Yeah.
I loved him in Treme, and you could tell like he was a little ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Bunk had a little sexiness to him.
Bunk had a little sexiness to him.
Yeah, okay. Wendell Pierce would be good.
Get him out of a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put him in Anthony Michael Hall's suit.
There you go.
Anthony Michael Hall had a suit that could fit Samuel Jackson.
He did.
We just go. We're just gonna
walk past. We're gonna walk past that.
We just gonna go along.
We're just gonna suspend the belief.
Then I thought the Lime Rickies were gonna mean something.
I know. It was not a good. Yeah, swing and a miss.
But again,
would you recommend that people see the Caveman's Valentine?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't. And it's a shame because I don't think Kasi Lemmons has had the film career that I would have liked her to have had. Like, there aren't as many Kasi Lemmons films.
That's true.
As I would like after Eve's Bayou. And, appropriately enough, I think this may have derailed her a bit.
Yeah, I mean, even though
she's still working.
She's still working.
And she's still doing good work.
She did Talk to Me. She did Black Nativity. We liked Harriet. She did do Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Right.
But, hey, can't all be choosers. But she's still doing good work.
Absolutely.
But you're right. It may have kind of like knocked her off the playing field as one of the up and coming directors to kind of look for.
Yeah, and it's a real shame because again, it's her second film. But no, unfortunately, I would not recommend this film.
Yeah,
and yourself?
No, I can't. I can't recommend it. I'm sorry. I think that it's it doesn't work. I understand what it's going for.
Yeah,
I get what it's going for. But I think that it doesn't work. I think that the script, the plot is all over the place. Yeah. It's convoluted. I'm not a fan of the lead casting, even though he's not doing bad work. And I think the combination of those two don't do Kasi Lemmons, the director, any favors.
Right.
In pulling together something that that really comes together.
It's a shame with a lot of these. I don't know if you have it up. Do you see who wrote the script to Eve's Bayou?
Eve's Bayou was written by Kasi Lemmons.
Yeah, I was about to say, unfortunately, I think a lot of times with these directors who have a clear vision, they have to be really intentional with the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
With the entire team. Because, again, I think what we both kind of agree with the most is that the aspects of this film that seem like they let Kasi Lemmons down are not Kasi Lemmons.
Yeah.
And, I know we all kind of subscribe to the auteur kind of definition of film, but film is very collaborative.
Very collaborative.
It's very collaborative. And the screenwriter can knock you off your square.
Most definitely.
So,
and then she follows this up with Talk to Me, which we both loved.
Yeah, and who wrote that? Who?
That was written by Michael Ginnett and Rick Famuyiwa. So she's got
right. I'm not familiar with Michael Ginnett's name, but Rick Famuyiwa is a very skilled writer. So
she's working there, and
so
hey, all respect to Kasi Lemmons.
Look, man.
All respect to most of the talent that's involved with Caveman's Valentine, but sometimes things just don't come together.
I have to say, one of my great thrills since I want to say since Lovecraft Country, but quiet as it's kept, is really since the Clark sisters story.
Mm-hmm.
Is me rediscovering Ingenue Ellis in earlier roles.
Oh, nice. Nice.
It's like, hey, it's like she knew Alice. So it was nice to see her.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Because the whole time I'm watching her, I'm looking at her eyes. I'm like, I know her.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like pay attention to like the cast. I'm like,
Yeah.
All right, I see you, baby. I got you. All right.
That's
our review of The Caveman's Valentine. Before we tell you the film that we're going to be reviewing, hopefully next week, it was streaming when I checked. I invite you to follow the Micheaux Mission on the social media of your choice at Micheaux Mission. You can email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. Micheaux Mission is MICHEAUX, MISSION. And you can find us on YouTube, where you can hit the bell and be notified of when we go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. or when we put up our new videos. We've thrown up a ton of videos just over the last couple of days. We just threw up our talk about the best solo new edition release. And we actually have the video going up, I believe, today or tomorrow about being Black famous. That is a conversation you definitely want to check out. The Micheaux Mission is also available as a podcast on the podcast catcher of your choice, whether it be Apple or Spotify. Doesn't matter. If they got podcasts, they've got the Micheaux Mission. Look for us, find us, give us a 5-star rating and a review, because that helps people find our show, which is brought to you by Podglomerate. The Podglomerate, they make podcasts work, such as ours. And if you are a fan of podcasts, I invite you to also check out Sticky Note Conversations.
Yeah.
With our girl, Erica Washington, out of Las Vegas. You remember, she was here talking about Wicked.
Yes.
Well, Vincent and I actually paid a visit virtually to Las Vegas to speak with her about the Micheaux Mission and just chop it up about movies and fun. It was a great time. I believe that show is going to be going live on their feed, but in the next couple of days. But check out Sticky Note Conversations wherever you check out podcasts, because it's a really dope podcast. Erica's dope people. All right. Next week here on the Micheaux Mission, we are going to be reviewing from 2023. This is a good film. It's a film that I have heard about and I can't wait to see, starring Kiersey Clemons and Leon Bridges, written and directed by Tarisha Poe, The Young Wife.
All right.
Hopefully next week here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.
Young John!